Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to this library tour of my little book room here at Hyde Cottage. I did this for a while, and then I had a eensy-weensy psychotic break where I was touring through a shelf of books, and I encountered a book that we had previously encountered just a couple of weeks before in the same library tour. It had, in the meantime, moved from its original location to a new location because the books in this room are under my hand at all times. And when I saw that, I flipped out and I thought, well, what's the point of doing a library tour and making a video record of what's in here if it's moving every minute, if it's changing all the time? And I let the feature lapse, even though a lot of you have wanted it back. And then just yesterday, I watched an hour-long video from David Murphy where he takes you through his library at Little Birch's Garden. and it sort of sparked the idea that maybe I should revive this. Maybe one little psychotic break. What's one little psychotic break between friends? So we're going to resume here. We're on a different bookcase. We're going to resume here on the east wall. There are books on the top of this bookcase. But for a whole bunch of very good reasons, I am not going to be standing on a stepladder anytime soon. So we're going to have to skip that shelf. It's, what is it? Penguin Classic Deluxe Editions. War and Peace, Anna Karenina, The Odyssey. Oh, Bettany Hughes' book, The Hemlock Cup, is up there. And the Quiller Couch edition of the Oxford Book of English Verse. But we're going to skip that, and we're going to move on to the shelf right below it. It's going to require me to reach up, but at least I don't have to stand on a step stool. And we're going to hope for no psychological breaks. That's a simple thing to hope for. So we have, okay, well, this is a second copy. There is another copy of this in this room. This is The Writing of Fiction by Edith Wharton. I found a second copy of this. The other copy that I have is the exact duplicate of this, except that this has a kind of glossy plastic cover, and that other one did not. That other one had a more cloth-like cover that is degrading. I grabbed it anyway. I think it was $1. Okay. Then we have, this is by Paul Taylor and W.H. Auden, and this is their translation of a selection from the Elder Edda. And really, this belongs with, I don't know what's going to be visible in the background here, it belongs up there. Those right there are a whole bunch of Auden books, all in this format, all from this publisher. Not all this same height. This is a tiny little thing. This is wonderful, though. Absolutely wonderful. I first encountered this as mass market paperback. Imagine making a mass market paperback out of something like this. It would never happen today. Now it would have to be a thriller to be in mass market. So it would be the Elder Edda sanction. but this is wonderful. It's just wonderful. I think it's dedicated to Tolkien. Yeah, it's dedicated to J.R.R. Tolkien. Okay, we're having problems. We're gonna forge on here. We're gonna forge on. Okay, this next one is a tiny little thing. All right, this is Louise Welsh. This is Tamburlaine Must Die. A tiny little novel about Christopher Marlowe that I think we may have encountered in this. I've definitely shown you this book before, but I might have shown it to you in this same library tour. We're gonna try not to spaz out about that. I don't think I have. And this is wonderful. It's a novella, really, and it's pretty explicit. its opening scene leaves little to the imagination. Let's put it that way. And the other Transwise book is, oh, you've got to be friggin' kidding me. Okay, it's happening all over again. This is The View from Lazy Point by Carl Safina, which we saw just a week ago, or whenever the last video was. We saw this just a couple of videos ago in this library tour, but it's not where it was anymore. This is a double. It isn't where it was anymore. It's now here instead. This is, I feel so ridiculous talking about it. These things, all right. This is natural history. It's nature writing. This author is wonderful. This book is fantastic. Just a little plot of ground that he analyzes the heck out of. All right, let's. Is this pointless? Is this? All right, let's move on. At least through this shelf. All right. Okay, these next two are hardcovers with dust jackets. I never know when I'm going to find these things, so I grab them. Of Bertree Small. an old school romance author that I really love. This is her book, This Heart of Mine, with this original artwork there, wrapping all the way around. And then I also found All the Sweet Tomorrows by her, also with original artwork wrapping all the way around. And I know that there are a lot more of these. A lot of her Elizabethan stuff was printed in hardcover, but I never see them, so I grabbed them. Then we have a modern library edition of Les Martes d'Arthur by Mallory. I like their big fat trade paperback of this. I have a couple of editions of Les Martes d'Arthur in this room. This one had a very boring tapestry cover, so I changed the cover. I fitted out a picture of Richard and put him there on the cover. So that when I pick this thing up, and I do because Mallory is great, it at least has a pleasing cover. It has a cover that I would like. All right. Then we have a Star Trek novel in a hardcover. This is Sarek by the great A.C. Crispin, the great and much missed A.C. Crispin. This is all about Mark Leonard's portrayal of Mr. Spock's father, Ambassador Sarek. There are stories involved here. There are plots involved here, but really this is a personal portrait of Sarek. And the thing that I want more than anything, I can't have it. None of us can have it. The thing that I want more than anything is for this author to be alive and well and healthy and write a sequel to this book. That's what I want. This book, the main bit of personal drama in this book is the chronic final illness of Spock's human mother, Amanda, that we see in A Journey to Babel in the original series. But we know from later Star Trek continuity that Sarek goes on to have a very full life. He's only in middle age. He's in the middle of his life when all this is happening. So he goes on to have a very full wife and has another wife, another human woman. I would love it if A.C. Crispin could write that and intertwine it with the events of the later movies and The Next Generation where all that's happening. But no, the good ones don't stay. And then we have David Wishart. This is his book, I, Virgil, Roman historical fiction of the first water. You have to get used to it. David Wishart has very much his own narrative voice. But when you do, his stuff is great. All of it. Not just the murder mysteries, but the straight up historical fiction. Then we have a contemporary novel. This is Paris Trout by Pete Dexter. I have had this in trade paperback many, many times, but I found a hardcover with somebody that already put a library covering on it, so I grabbed it. I think this is by far the best thing that Pete Dexter ever wrote. And also one of the great American novels of the latter half of the 20th century. That reading list that I always threatened to make from 1945 to 2025, this would be on that list. And that list would be no lower than 100 books. So, okay. Then we have a book of Maine life, the state of Maine here in the United States. This is Caskey Stinnett. This is his book, One Man's Island, where it is literally his island. I wonder if there's a map in here. Well, not really. There's a navigational map that you get at the beginning there. He has an island, and it's an occasion for him to do all sorts of nature musings, and those books are good if you're good at it, and he's very good at it. So that this is pointless. Doing these videos is pointless. Our next book, which we've already seen on this library tour, is this big thing. The Complete Chronicles of Conan, in a big black hardcover that has everything that Robert E. Howard wrote, all his Conan writings. And we've already seen this in this same library tour. And I know why this one's here. I pulled it off the shelf where we saw it. I think it was over there by, well, I don't really know. By Louis L'Amour? Maybe by Seven Pillars of Wisdom. We've already seen this. And I know why. I pulled it off the shelf because I read the new Titan Comics Savage Sword of Conan #7, written by Roy Thomas, and it was great. It was absolutely great. One of the great Conan issues, not just of the Titan run, but in general. It's a great Conan comic book. The diametric opposite of the train wreck first issue of Savage Sword of Conan from Titan Press. I read it and loved it, and the villain in that story is a sorceress of Jebel Sag, in contact with the wild beasts who she controls. And that immediately made me think of Beyond the Black River, a Conan story in which that sorceress name and that sorceress ability and ethos crops up originally. I don't know if Roy Thomas is going to do more with that. I don't know if they're going to get him to keep writing Savage Sword of Conan. I would certainly get my vote. But I know why this moved. Because when I read that in Savage Sword of Conan weeks ago, I immediately went to this in order to reread Beyond the Black River. I pulled it off the shelf, even though I have it on an e-reader. I pulled it off the shelf. I don't think I stood here and read it. Instead, I think I plopped down on the bed right there and read it. And then when I was done, I thought, oh, that was so good. Robert E. Howard writing Conan is so good. And then I probably put it on the nightstand, or I put it on a pile of books on the floor. And then maybe a day later or a week later, I thought, oh, well, I should put that back on the shelf. But between then and now, between that point and then, I had noticed the empty space on the shelf and filled it with something else. Oh, an empty space cropped up, without thinking that I know why it cropped up and that I should put the book back where it was. So that space was taken when I picked it up off the floor or the nightstand or wherever it was. So I put it up here where there was a space, because something else has been taken off there. So this is pointless. This is the Sisyphus pushing his rock perpetually up a hill. That's what this is. I need these sirens. Okay. We're gonna press on. We've already seen that book. We're probably gonna see other things we've already seen. Anyway, let's move on. All right. Oh, all right. Well, this next one is The Nature Library. This was so nice. This was so wonderful. When did I find this thing? Last spring, I found this The Nature Library. This is from 1926. And there are a lot of these. This is an embossed bird cover, and just lovely thing. And there were a lot of these. But this is the one for birds that is full of beautiful original illustrations. And just this running border work here. And it's just a rundown of all the stereotypical charismatic species of birds in North America. Just wonderful. Then we have, a hardcover. This is a duplicate. Not exactly a duplicate. On that shelf right behind me, the classic shelf over there, there's a paperback of this, but this is the Collected Stories of Eudora Welty. This is the canonical big brown hardcover, like Cheever has a big red hardcover. These stories were reprinted in a trade paperback about 5 or 6 years ago. It was lovely. It was bright. It was floral. And I have that, but I have this as well. You can't not have this copy of one of our greatest short story writers. All right, this is a slim work of history called Sam Adams's Revolution, about Samuel Adams, who is on that wall. If you look behind that teddy bear up there, there's a portrait of him up there. And this is by a man named Cass Canfield, who was an absolute darling of a person, an absolute wonderful friend. And this is a slim book. It's just about Samuel Adams's role in fomenting the American Revolution, almost single-handedly. And it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Wish that it were. I mean, we had Stacy Schiff writing about Samuel Adams, which is, we can't do much better than that. But I would like to see a more detailed political study of what he did to start the revolution, when really no one else was thinking about it, and when that's the kind of spade work that you needed to get a revolution off the ground against the greatest empire in the history of the world. You needed somebody who was willing to go to the fuller shops. You needed somebody who was willing to go to the farms and the Granger associations and sit down with these people one by one and lay out the case and hear from them. Instead of pounding a pulpit in some town square, you needed to convince lots of people one by one. All right. Then we have The Lord of the Rings. This is one of the rare examples of a movie cover that is nice. And I think it's because they just made the whole production nice. You have just the one ring on a finger there, but the letters here are embossed. You've got the French flaps on this thing. You've got nice end papers. Most movie editions are really poorly made. And actually, the Peter Jackson movies occasioned a couple of really crappy one-volume Lord of the Rings reprints. There's one with an out-of-focus movie still of Ian McKellen as Gandalf. There's one with an out-of-focus still of just a rider on the edge of Bree. This is much better. It's much somber, and so I gave it the One Ring bookmark there. This is a movie adaptation cover that I actually like, and one of perhaps 6, perhaps 7 editions of Lord of the Rings that are in this room. I don't know. I don't know the exact number. Then we have a hardcover of my favorite James Michener novel, Chesapeake. I have a couple of mass market paperbacks of this thing, but they take a beating. But those old mass market paperbacks take a beating, but the cover chips off, the pages flake out or break from the binding. Whereas I go back to Chesapeake and Hawaii, I go back to enough so that I want hardcovers of them. I don't have a hardcover of Hawaii. I will find it. The Brattle will provide. And then finally, this last thing. This is by Roger Elwood and Robert Silverberg. This is an anthology called Epoch, science fiction anthology called Epoch that has lots and lots of good stuff in it. It has longer stuff, so novellas, but also lots and lots of short stories by Larry Niven, Gordon Eklund, Ursula Le Guin, R.A. Lafferty, Frederick Pohl, Clifford Seamak, Kate Wilhelm, Jack Dan, Joseph Green, George R.R. Martin, Joanna Russ, Barry Malzberg, Michael Bishop, Greg Benford, Harry Harrison. Yeah, lots and lots of great people in here. And science fiction, there are a lot of anthologies in this room, just in general. I really like them because they really pay off, so to speak. So I put those books back up there, and then I take these Transwise books and I put them back up on top where they were. I don't know why I do that. Why do I do that? They're going to move anyway. But nevertheless, that is one absolutely maddening shelf from this library tour where these books are moving. And if they're moving in real time, what's the point of... Anyway, I'll thrash that out on my own. I'll wrap this up, and maybe we'll continue with another shelf. Maybe we will. Maybe it'll be all those books that have moved to another shelf in between then now. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.